Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal because I don't want to do it alone, then make sure to smash that like button. A lot of people know Marie Forleo for Marie TV, her show on YouTube. I've seen it. I love the energy. I love the interviews. The production is fantastic. And I remember the first time I heard her say everything is figureoutable in the show, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. Even if it's not, when I found out she wrote a book about it, I was like, I was ecstatic. Like, there must be so much to learn. But guys, Marie, I'm sorry, this book was just like one painfully long sales pitch. I'm just kidding. You should have seen the look on your face. And honestly, I'm probably gonna rewatch this at some point, and I should have seen the look on my, I don't know what I'm trying to say. So what does this mean? The idea that everything is figureoutable. Is it self-explanatory? I don't really know. Let's talk about it. If you have been born into like extraordinary challenges, you live in a sense of futility and disparity, experiences like a frightening and life-altering diagnosis, the tragic loss of a child or loved one, recovery from abuse, or addiction maybe. She says that in this book there are gonna be plenty of triumphant tales of people, everyday people, smashing that like button if you haven't done so already, confronting loss, illness, and heart-wrenching pain. The fact is, no matter what you're facing, you have the ability at all times to figure out what to do about it and become who you're meant to be. You are able to figure everything out. I'm gonna say that again. You are able to figure everything out. And whether this is true for humanity as a whole, that's like a topic for probably many other books. But from an individualistic standpoint for now, here's what it did for the author, and this is just the author. Again, there are triumphant tales of everyday people throughout the book. These are like actors, actresses, artists, writers, etc., who a good amount of people know about. It helped her end a physically abusive relationship, land highly competitive positions for college despite policies and waitlists. It helped her land every job she's ever had, from bartending high-end restaurants in Manhattan to trading on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. This lady has been all over the place. It must be like great to have I can't imagine how much perspective you gain from all these different things. Starring in workout videos, producing and choreographing on MTV, and becoming one of the world's first Nike elite dance athletes. I didn't even know that those existed until I heard this. Despite no formal training, and she also climbed her way out of devastating debt. How many of us are in devastating debt? How many of us would like to know how to climb our way out of devastating debt? Because it is figureoutable. She's basically reminding us that, hey, I'm a human and you're a human, and the only thing that all of these different things have in common is a human who realizes that everything is figureoutable. After this, she dives into this sea of large-scale observations and statistics, describing some of the educational and medical struggles that our modern world faces. Every day we throw away more food in our homes, restaurants, and supermarkets than it would take to just gently tap that like button till it turns blue. It's one of the best things that you can do. That was cool, that rhymed. I feel like I'm saying to smash that like button in like the worst times in this video, talking about like abuse and like starving people. It's terrible. I really need to start doing that at different points. I don't know. We throw away more food in those places than it would take to feed the nearly 1 billion people who go hungry. Really? That's a little unbelievable for some reason to me. In the US, we spend more money on ice cream every year. $59 billion. I had no idea the ice cream industry was that big. I mean, ice cream is pretty good, but still. Rather than provide education, healthcare, sanitation to all humans on Earth for $28 billion. Why do I feel like that would cost so much more than $28 billion? In this review, we're gonna talk about the nice little summary of the book, of each chapter, with commentary in between. We'll start with chapter 3, because by the time I got to this part in the review, I was already done with chapter 1 and 2. 1 was an introduction, and 2 was a list of stuff to keep in mind as you go through the book, which is something I wish every self-help book had, especially toward the beginning. I'm gonna read some top positive and negative helpful Audible reviews. We're gonna go over some standout quotes, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out after. Chapter 3 is The Magic of Belief. Alright, so you know that song, what's it called? This Girl Is on Fire by Alicia Keys? Well, that is what I was thinking about Marie Forleo's storytelling skills. But a lot of stuff in this chapter has been talked about by other people. This chapter, and honestly much of the rest of the book, I think the author said at some point in chapter 2 to just expect that. But I don't know. Listening to this book made me want to take a little bit of a break from just straight up self-development books, even though, that's my bread and butter on this channel, and lean a little bit more of my weight into business and science and technology in the meantime. Chapter 4 is eliminating excuses. What she says about eliminating excuses has been said, maybe not as concisely and thoroughly as this. Somehow she manages to be very concise and thorough at the same time. It's a really strange combination. Nevertheless, a pretty enjoyable one, especially the part about technology. Reminded me of Indistractable by Nir Eyal. But hey, while we're on the topic of excuses, she goes on this whole rant about resources versus resourcefulness. And that rant is one of the biggest myth busters I've ever heard on that topic. And expansive, concise yet thorough. If you are in debt and not in school and you want to go to school or back to school for something and you really don't know how, you might not even have to go to school. This chapter explains why and how and what to do about it. It is mindset bending. Chapter 5 is how to deal with the fear of anything. Fear is one of the most misunderstood F words. Why is fear misunderstood? Simple. A vast majority of people are handicapped, whipped, paralyzed by some sort of fear. And Forleo talks a lot in this chapter about why that doesn't need to happen, and why that's changeable. Why and how fear can be positive if you know how to use it. Chapter 6, what is it, chapter 6 we're on? Define your dream. The author elaborates how to clarify your main focus in life. This is another topic that has been beaten to death by authors throughout this decades, maybe centuries. But again, this book is so brightly repackaged that this one may be a little bit more in line in your interests if you find the classics a little boring and outdated. She talks about regrets, and by the way, the study to story ratio in this book is perfect. Chapter 7 is Start Before You're Ready. Here she goes over accountability, not lying to yourself about what's holding you back, and using actions to guide feelings. There are a lot, you can see there are a lot of things she covers in this book. Chapter 8 is Progress, Not Perfection. Here she explains that having and holding yourself to high standards is not the same as perfectionism. She actually explains how perfectionism is deadly. It is physically unhealthy. Chapter 9 is Refuse to be Refused. Refusing to give up in the face of rejection and using adversity to your advantage. This, again, has been beaten to death by so many people. Chapter 10, The World Needs Your Special Gift. This, again, it's very, the whole book is really inspiring. But if you're already aware of a lot of typical, some atypical self-help knowledge that may be gaining some traction in the last decade or half decade, I don't think the book is really that necessary to check out. You can tell that I have very mixed feelings about this book, but I hope it's pretty clear why. I admire how she finds things like perfectionism and loneliness to conclude. It's kind of funny in some ways how she does this. She just uses studies and then she concludes, hey, you will take more years off of your own life by spending a bunch of time alone than you will by smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's so particular. Overall, the book reads as a thorough, zesty, mildly defiant grandchild. If Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill had a grandchild, I don't think I resonated with it as much as I wanted to or hoped to. I just think a lot of this book is just excessively repackaged content. And I've spoken toward the end of other reviews on my channel throughout this quarter that is not necessarily a bad thing. Just because I didn't get that much out of the book, because I've checked out so many other self-development books, it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't check it out, because other people have gotten probably so much out of this book. Some of it talking about more modern odds and ends, like using apps for accountability and productivity, and different sites and resources you can go to kind of educate yourself for damn near the cost of nothing, as opposed to going into staggering amounts of debt just to acquire a college degree. Things like that, those are golden. But a lot of this stuff, I mean, this is not the first book that I've said this about this quarter. I don't know, but what do the top helpful, positive, and negative Audible reviews have to say? And do I agree with them? A 2-star review by World Traveler basically says that the energy is high, and it is. Marie Forleo's narration and writing, they tend to pack quite the punch. But she didn't really dive deep enough. She didn't challenge her readers, because so many of us kind of get that message already, and we are already figuring things out. Probably my favorite thing about the book is her narration and writing style. Like, she's so good at that. 1-star review by Emmanuel says, "I can't figure out why this book is so bad." Jeez. Where's the beef? Too many stories, too much filler, and not enough content. I kind of agree, but I don't really think there was that much filler per se. Maybe there is, but maybe it's only filler because maybe there's not enough depth. I don't know what the problem is, really. This guy doesn't exactly seem to elaborate on what he really defines content as. He said, "Everything is figureoutable except why you wrote such a lackluster book." Come on, my man. Emmanuel, that was just cold. Another 2-star review by Belinda, it's an interesting name, said, "The title is all you need to know. Her mom knew it, she knew it, famous people knew it, her readers know it, he, she, me knows it, knows-itology. The study of knows it is first grade, SpongeBob." But that doesn't matter because everything is figureoutable. And that's all we really need to know. Zit. Andra V wrote in a 5-star review a long story about how the book helped or is helping her get out of what seemed to be like this endless cycle of self-loathing and depression. Despite everything I said and despite everything these negative audible excuse me. Those almonds were really good. I need to get more of those. Stories like this, people like this, what they do with this information, this is what counts. This is like a big thing that she really gets. And I imagine just about any author who writes a book like this gets out of putting this stuff together. Quotes. "The opposite is that which is never seen until someone states it clearly. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. Someday is not a day of the week. It's not your job to like me. It's mine." Direction 1. I strongly recommend this book for anyone who simply does not believe enough in him or herself. Anyone who's not yet into self-help, this is also a great starter choice. If you're already a fan of her content, you may already know a bit about, you may already know a lot of the book. If you want to take a chance and check it out anyway, I mean, I'm not telling you guys what to do. Direction 2. If this book you found it a little bit too simplistic, you may want to check out Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And if you find that one too simplistic, you may want to check out The Law of Success by the same author. But if you liked it and you haven't checked out Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis, those are definitely worth the read. After checking this one out, I would probably just get Girl Stop Apologizing, but it depends on where you're at and what you're trying to do. I talk about the differences between the girl do this, stop this, and girl do this. I just talk about the differences between those two in my review of Stop Apologizing. Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also hit me up on Instagram, and also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why they watch this far into my reviews and they don't subscribe. I don't really know why that is, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.